Thank you, Mr. President. Let me first thank Senator Graham for your thoughtful comments and, frankly, standing with me and, frankly, more importantly, standing with our family of South Carolina as we faced one of the horrific challenges our state has ever faced in the history of a state that has a very provocative history on race. It is a rare moment when searing pain and disbelief leaves an unforgettable yet undeniable impression on both your heart and your mind. 9/11 was one of those occasions. I remember exactly where I was on that fateful day. June 17th, today, 10 years ago, 2015, was another one of those days. I will never forget sitting in my bed when I received the news that there had been a shooting in my hometown of Charleston where ultimately 9 African Americans attending a Bible study at Mother Emanuel AME Church would be murdered. Murdered for the simple reason that they were black. No other reason. Invited in to a Bible study was the murderer. With open arms, they welcomed him in. And for 90 minutes or so, he sat through a Bible study, listening and watching as these Christian souls talked about and then prayed, including him. This atrocity that was carried out in an attempt to start a race war, a second race war, at the birthplace of the Civil War, changed the landscape and, frankly, the heart, not only of Charleston, South Carolina, those members of Mother Emanuel Church, but our entire state and nation. But even in the face of such an atrocity, in the face of such grief, 36 hours after this horrific shooting, representatives from every single family looked into the eyes of the murderer and simply said what needed to be said. I forgive you. Thinking back on the power of our scriptures, Matthew 5:44 reminds us to love those who persecute us, to pray for those who persecute us, and to love our enemies. And to think about the capacity of love of 9 family members to turn away from the grief and the pain and the misery and turn towards love. To say to the person who just executed the person they loved dearly, we forgive you. The power of that moment started healing our nation, caught up in racial tension and violence, healed our nation in a way that nothing else can do. Sometimes fire can't meet fire. Sometimes hate can't meet hate. Sometimes the only thing that brings healing and restoration, or at least begins it, is meeting hate with love. I won't ever forget the Wednesday, 1 week later, I was coming on this floor to give a speech, and I was talking to Daniel Simmons Jr., whose father was one who was executed on that fateful day, his father, Daniel Simmons Sr. And I asked Daniel Simmons Jr., what would you want me to say to the nation if they are listening as I go out and talk? He said, please remind them of Romans 8:28, that somehow, some way, all things work for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. I got to tell you, had I been in his shoes, I do not believe I would have had the strength, the conviction, the clarity of mind to find good in the midst of that tragedy. But it is the message of hope that we needed then, and I believe it is the message of hope we need now. I am personally forever grateful to those family members, the family members of the 9, who simply chose forgiveness in the face of something I pray none of us have to experience. Their example of a faith-filled hope in the wake of tragedy and loss not only inspired me still, it inspired our nation, and I pray that it continues to lead us in the direction of reconciliation. As we honor those who are no longer with us, we must never be driven by our pain, our division, or our fear. I would like to have a moment of silence for the Emanuel 9 and their families. Reverend Clemente Pinckney, Cynthia Hurd, Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton, Tawanza Sanders, Ethel Lance, Susie Jackson, Reverend DePayne Middleton Doctor, Reverend Daniel Simmons Sr., and Myra Thompson. May America, the greatest nation on the planet, always strive to live up to our highest ideal, the ideal that we are all created equal, that we all share the same bloodline, that we are all a part of the same family, the family of God. Therefore, as if in legislative session and notwithstanding Rule 22, I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to the consideration of S. Res. 282 submitted earlier today.